What will a man do when he finds out that his wife is having an affair with another man? To know the full story, watch the video till the end. So in the beginning of the story, we see a woman named Connie who was a teacher in a school, and she also had a son named Charlie. Her husband Ed was a rich businessman who is always busy working. This morning Ed is going to his office, and on the way there, he will also drop his son to the school. He sees that there was a strong wind blowing outside, so he tells Connie that today you should stay home, but today there was a child's birthday party in her school, so she has to go. She was walking to catch a cab, but the wind was so strong that she was not able to walk properly and no taxi driver was giving her a seat. Then, suddenly she collides with a man and both of their belongings falls down. The man's name was Paul, and he starts helping Connie and tries to stop a taxi for her. Then he sees that Connie's knees were injured, so he takes her to his apartment. Connie calls him upstairs where she sees a taxi passing by, but she does not stop it. She goes upstairs with Paul. She sees that there were many books lying around which he used to sell. While Connie is applying ointment on her wound in Paul's bathroom, Paul starts making tea for her. When Connie comes out, they both talk for a while and introduce each other. When Connie is telling her son Charlie from his phone that she will not be able to come to pick him up today, Paul suddenly puts ice on her knees, which makes Connie a little uncomfortable. Then she says that she has to leave. But before leaving, Paul wanted to give her a book, and when Connie reads a page of it, there is a poem written in it. Paul starts coming closer to her. Connie leaves from there in a hurry and quickly comes back home in a train. When Charlie sees her wound, he takes a picture of it with his camera. He takes a picture of his mother. When Connie tells him about Paul helping her, Ed says that she should send him a bottle of wine as a good gesture. That night, Ed shoots Connie with his new camera, and they start making love. Then Charlie calls for them, and Ed is forced to leave his work half done. Next morning, after sending Charlie to school, when Connie is reading Paul's book, a letter comes out of it, which has Paul's number. When Connie is going to work, on the way, she calls Paul from a paid phone and asks for his address so that she can send him a bottle of wine. But Paul asks her to come to his house, and Connie agrees. When she comes to his apartment, Paul takes off her coat and then goes to make coffee for her. While they are talking, Paul holds Connie's hand and starts reading a book for the blind. Connie was enjoying a lot with him, but she feels it is wrong and she starts leaving from there. Connie goes straight to her husband's office after shopping, where a man named Bill, who works for Ed, was also present. Bill knew Connie very well. Connie gives Ed a sweater, which he wears right there. Then he gets a call from someone, and he starts shouting at one of his employees. In this process, he does not pay attention to Connie. Connie also lies to him that today at work she pranked one of his friends, named Gerald. At home, after dinner, when Connie was washing the dishes, Ed notices that she was lost in some thoughts. He goes to sleep without calling her. Next day, Connie goes to Paul and he starts dancing with her. Paul was slowly getting closer to her and Connie did not want to take any wrong step, so she leaves, but immediately comes back to take her coat. Then Paul catches hold of her and takes Connie to his bed. Connie stops him at first, but later she also starts enjoying it. When she was returning home by train, she goes to the bathroom and cleans herself so that her husband does not come to know. In the evening, when Ed was going home, he meets Gerald on the way, and while talking to him, Ed comes to know that Connie had not talked to him for a long time, and on hearing this, Ed comes to the conclusion that Connie lied to him. The same night, when he was working in his office and Connie comes to him, Ed asks her whether she still loves him. She answers yes and pretends to be unaware. After that day, Connie used to go to meet Paul every day, and they both come very close to each other. One day, both of them came to a restaurant, and Bill, who also came there, saw Connie with Paul. That night, when Connie was taking a bath in the bathtub, Ed sits with her. Ed wanted to have some fun with her, but Connie was not in the mood, and she leaves. Ed did not like this at all. The next morning, Ed asks Connie to have lunch with him, but she makes an excuse as she was going to meet Paul that day. She says that she has to go to a beauty parlor named Georgiana. But when Ed calls the beauty parlor, he finds out that there is no appointment of any woman by the name of Connie there today. When she was going towards Paul's apartment, she meets two of her friends who forcefully take her to a restaurant with them. Here, when Connie calls Paul and tells him that she is in the restaurant in front of his house, he also comes to that restaurant, and then both of them go to a bathroom there and have a lot of sex. In the next scene, we see that Ed fires Bill after seeing his carelessness. Bill gets angry and says something about his family that now Ed's doubt turns into belief. That's why he hires a private detective to keep an eye on his wife. Connie was so lost in Paul's thoughts that she was not able to do the housework properly. After which, while having dinner at night, Ed tells her that he needs to go to work for a few days. He has to go to Chicago for this, and the next morning he leaves without telling Connie about it. As soon as he leaves, Connie gets ready and goes to meet Paul. Both of them have sex in a movie theater, and when they come out, Ed's spy was taking pictures of both of them. Today, Connie was having so much fun with Paul that she forgot to bring Charlie back from school. She was very upset about this and was crying. There, Ed's spy shows pictures of Connie and Paul to Ed, and he gets to know all her secrets. Meanwhile, Connie was angry with what happened yesterday, and she was about to go to Paul to end their relationship. But then she sees Paul with another girl outside his house. Worse more, she follows both of them to a library and starts getting angry at Paul. Paul takes her to his apartment and tries to convince her, but Connie was not listening to him at all, where Paul catches her and starts touching her. And after refusing a little, Connie also starts cooperating with him. They start getting intimate in the corridor itself. After a while, we see that Ed was standing outside Paul's apartment, and when he turns the other way, Connie is standing behind him, unaware of the fact that her husband is present there. She leaves quickly. After some time, Ed comes to Paul and tells him that he is Connie's husband. Paul is shocked to hear this and is unable to say anything. Ed enters Paul's apartment and starts looking at everything. On talking to Paul, he finds out that this is the same man whom Connie met on the day of the storm. Ed finds out many things which make him mad, but he somehow controls himself. But when he finds out that the gift which he had given to Connie on their anniversary, she has given that gift to Paul. He could not control his anger, and he starts hitting Paul on the head. He falls on the ground and dies there. Ed had no idea what to do now, but then he calms down. He uses his brain and removes his fingerprints from all the things in the apartment and then starts taking Paul's body away. Then he hears a voicemail from Connie in which she is breaking up with Paul. Hearing this, Ed gets even more courage and he packs Paul's body properly and puts it in the trunk of his car and quickly reaches his son's school. Ed cleans himself in the bathroom where his son had his performance today and then comes and sits next to Connie. After the performance is over, when Ed was taking Charlie home, a car accidentally hits his car from behind, due to which the trunk of Ed's car opens, but he somehow closes it and leaves from there in a hurry. At night, when Connie was sleeping, Ed goes to a garbage dump and throws Paul's body and cleans his car completely, but still he is unable to sleep the whole night. And due to this, the next morning, Charlie and Connie find his behavior a little odd. When Ed leaves for office, two detectives come to Connie, who tell her that Paul has disappeared, and they found Connie's number in his apartment, where Connie comes to know that he was married and divorced. She makes an excuse that she had just gone to him to buy some books. The detectives give her their card and leave from there. One day, when Connie tells this to Ed in a restaurant, he pretends to be surprised. One day, when Ed and Connie had a party at their house, a man finds Paul's dead body in the garbage dump. The next day, both the detectives come back to Ed and Connie, and when they tell them that Paul is no more in this world, Connie feels very bad, but she controls herself because the police knew that she had passed by Paul's apartment 4 weeks ago. But Connie gives another excuse that she was just visiting her friends. After that, Ed asks them to leave, and after everyone leaves, Connie starts crying. Next day, when Connie is giving Ed's clothes for washing, she finds an envelope in his pocket which contains pictures of her and Paul. She knows that her secret is out, and Ed is pretending in front of her in such a way that he does not know anything about it. After that, when they were drinking with their friends at night, Connie's attention goes to the snow globe, which she had gifted to Paul, and after seeing this, she understands the whole matter. After everyone leaves, when she asks Ed what has he done, Ed gets angry and confesses everything and says that I wanted to kill you, not Paul. On hearing this, Connie was not able to react. Then her son comes to her, who had urinated. Seeing him, Connie tells him that I and your father will always love you no matter what happens. The next morning, when Ed was playing the piano with Charlie on his lap, Connie finds a letter inside that snow globe, which had a picture of their family. When both of them look at each other, we come to know that there was still love left between them. After which, Connie burns those photos and she thinks that if only she had stopped that taxi and left from there instead of going to Paul's apartment that day, then today their life would have been different. Then Ed comes to her and says that I will surrender myself to the police, but she refuses and says that we will face this problem together. After which, they go to an auction where Ed and Connie start getting intimate while dancing. And when they were going back home at night, they stopped their car at a place on the way. Here, Connie starts saying that we should leave the country and live our whole life in a beach house by changing our names, where both of them hug, and we see that they were standing in front of a police station. And with this, the film ends here. So do tell me by commenting how you liked this film. I will meet you in the next video.